Ooh. Today, I want to bring you along on the adventure that was Gunnar's first year home with us. I met Gunnar along with 3 of his siblings as an 11-month-old pup in a remote village in Alaska last year, where my rescue partner Mackenzie and I met up with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Alaska State Troopers to embark on a rescue mission unlike any others I've ever been a part of. He and his siblings were the result of an extremely unusual pairing between a wild wolf and a domestic dog, something you've probably never heard of outside of a Jack London novel. And while their families did nothing wrong and loved these pups deeply, the laws in Alaska do not allow for wolf dogs or wolf hybrids like Gunnar and his litter mates, requiring them to surrender their pups to law enforcement, who in turn allowed them to be transported out of Alaska and adopted in states where they are legal. I'll leave a card to the full rescue story for anyone who's interested, but this video is not about that. This video is about Gunnar. It's about one brave wolf hybrid pup and his adventures during his first year with his new pack. I would love to tell you that it was love at first sight, and for me it was, but Gunnar's first day with me included saying goodbye to his beloved family, loading into a crate, getting seasick during a boat ride on extremely rough seas, seeing the vet, and a 3-hour road trip. It's fair to say he needed a little time and more than a few treats to begin thinking of me as a friend.
I want to eat it. He's right there. It's your meatball.
Sit. Can you sit? Sit.
Good sit. Good boy. Rest.
Even so, I couldn't have been more impressed and baffled by his calm temperament. Yes, he was standoffish and suspicious at first, rightly so, but he was clearly very intelligent and brave. He kept his head in what surely were the scariest situations he had ever been in. And by the time we got to the airport for our flight, a couple of days after our first meeting, I was blown away that this 11-month-old first-generation wolf hybrid, who had known me for only a few days and had never previously left his remote Alaskan village, was standing at my side, watching and listening to the hustle and bustle of the airport, taking his cues from me with very little concern. I can't express to you how unusual this is for wolf dogs in general, but especially a wolf dog as unusual as Gunnar, who was only 1 generation removed from a fully wild wolf.
You're a good boy, Gunnar.
Good job.
Good boy, Gunnar.
Oh, he's got spots on his tongue.
Yeah, they all do.
Cool.
When I left him in the care of the TSA, I could feel that he already had a piece of my heart with him, and my tears were flowing pretty freely when the flight attendant handed me this note, letting me know that my friend Gunnar was safely on board. We flew through the night. I imagine he was as exhausted as I was when we finally landed at the airport in Phoenix. Once he had had a chance to rest and decompress, our first order of business was for Gunnar to meet Echo. I had very little concern knowing Echo as well as I do, but it was still an important step. If Echo accepted him, then he would stay with us forever and be adopted into our pack. With Echo's blessing, it was time for him to bond with his new daddy, Rand. And finally, his human sister, Violet.
Mom, give me some love.
I'm so lucky he did not sit on me.
Within a couple of weeks, and much to his chagrin, it was time for his appointment to meet the vet and have his neuter surgery. Some people have asked why he was neutered, or expressed sadness that his genetics would not be passed on to future generations. So I wanted to take a moment to explain. First and foremost, it's never ethical to breed a rescue animal. In many cases, this one being no different, Donations from the public were used to complete his rescue. In most cases, this one included, nothing is known about a rescue animal's lineage, and it's just simply not appropriate to even evaluate a rescue animal for breeding. But secondly, and even more importantly to me as an individual, I will never breed a wolf dog. There are too many currently suffering and dying that desperately need qualified and committed homes that I simply would not ever consider bringing more of them into the world. I know there will be some who disagree with my perspective, but my home is and always will be a rescue home, not a breeding home. Something important to know about wolf dogs is that they can be extremely sensitive to sedatives and anesthesia. So much so that it can be fatal to them if given a full dose designed for a regular dog of the same size and weight. This was evident with Gunnar when he became too drowsy to stand after a Chihuahua-sized dose of sedative. If you're taking a wolf dog in for surgery, please discuss this potential sensitivity with your vet and suggest the Greyhound protocol.
Hi, CPs. Yeah, you starting to feel good? The vet said she gave him a Chihuahua-sized dose of sedative, and it took all of about 7 minutes, and he can barely keep his eyes open. Chihuahua dose on our 85-pound wolf hybrid. Yep.
While Gunnar was drowsy, I took the opportunity to snag some extra cuddles and examine him all over, including his teeth and paws.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's got back teeth. You could be a little cleaner, Gunnar. Could brush them. And then my favorite. Look at the little tiny ones. Little bottom teeth and top teeth. Look at these big wolf paws with these adorable little toe beans. Yeah. And then this is when it's relaxed. And then look how wide it spreads out when he wants to spread his little paws out.
His surgery went well, and after a day of sleeping off the anesthesia, our only recovery challenge was keeping him calm while his incision healed.
Hi, CPs. Are you really tired?
Just a little more than a month after bringing Gunnar home, we had the joy of celebrating his first birthday with him.
Do you want some more?
His favorite food is salmon, so he had salmon cupcakes and a large salmon fillet, and of course presents.
Okay, what's the next one?
Before we even made the trip to Alaska, as part of the law enforcement process, Gunnar and his siblings had already undergone genetic testing with the lab UC Davis, confirming the presence of wolf content, as well as confirming that the X chromosome passed down from his mother was a pure dog, and the Y chromosome passed down from his father was from a wolf. However, I wanted to do my own Embark DNA testing to see the percentage and breed breakdown of his dog lineage. We had originally been told that his mother might have been a black lab, but after seeing pictures of her, it was clear to me that she was not. However, I couldn't pinpoint what she might actually be. When I got the email that Gunnar's DNA results were ready, I was so excited to see what made up our boy's second half. The biggest percentage, and exactly 50.0%, is of course gray wolf. However, his dog breeds were a complete surprise. Coming in second at 18.3% was a breed I had never heard of called the Karelian bear dog, which is a Finnish breed used for big game hunting, namely bear, boar, and moose. In the United States, though, They're used by wildlife officials to chase off nuisance bears. In fact, they are the most successful non-lethal bear deterrent by quite a large margin. Number 3 on the list is Alaskan Malamute, but only at 8%. And from there, the next 4 breeds come in at almost insignificant numbers, between 5 and 6%, including Pit Bull, Doberman, Akita, and at the very end, Golden Retriever. We like to joke that he got most of his outgoing and friendly personality from the 5% Golden Retriever. Another fascinating section of his Embark DNA test is the breed mix by chromosome section. If you look at each of his 38 chromosome pairs, you will see that the top line of the pair is a combination of different colors, each color assigned to represent one of his various dog breeds. And the bottom line of each pair is a solid yellow, which is the color assigned to represent gray wolf. This is no surprise, since we know that all of his dog genetics come from his mother, and that his father was a pure wolf. But it was still really cool to see. As spring turned into summer, and Gunnar fully healed from his neuter surgery, we spent as much time as we could enjoying the creek as a family. Echo and Gunnar both are never happier than they are when they get to play in nature, splashing in the water, digging in the mud, chewing on the grass, fetching sticks. Well, Gunnar fetches sticks. Echo doesn't, on principle. And honestly, our human pack members are not much different. Behind the scenes, I was busy selling my house in Arizona so that Rand and I could buy a home together in Washington. After more delays than anyone would have liked, it was finally time to make our 3-day trip from Arizona to Washington.
I think he's gonna pull.
Rand drove the moving truck and towed his car, while I drove behind with both wolf dogs and one extremely touchy cat, who didn't take a break from the constant yowling for 6 straight hours on that first day. Slowly the scenery changed, and we all settled into something of a rhythm. Shortly after we enjoyed a beautiful rainbow and a lovely sunset, our moving truck broke down on the road. We pulled off onto the narrow shoulder, trying to contact Penske to figure out what we do next.
Hey, how's the road trip going? Not ideal being broken down on the side of the road, but you're being good.
The next morning, after hours of customer service calls and waiting on Penske, a very efficient team of moving contractors transferred all of our belongings from one truck to the next. They were great. We, however, were exhausted. When we finally could continue our journey, we were hours behind schedule.
Hey, come on.
Echo being a perfect angel as always. He's gonna get you.
Oh, did you see that, Gunny?
That cat's gonna get you. Through all of this, I'm proud to report that Gunnar was probably the most chill member of our whole family. Little by little, the trees and mountains of the Pacific Northwest came into view. And then the water. And finally, our neighborhood, our driveway, and at long last, our new home.
Have you tried them yet?
No, not yet. They're so good.
Are they so sweet?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think, girlie? You like it? Gunnar, what do you think?
The temperature change was everything I had dreamed of, from the oppressive triple-digit summer heat of the desert to the lush green of the temperate rainforest. For Gunnar, returning to the ocean was as exciting as it was familiar. His first family had lived in a remote fishing village in Alaska, where he undoubtedly shared many memories of the ocean and surrounding beauty with them in his first 11 months of life. We enjoyed the tail end of summer while I spent almost every day building their first new enclosure at the new property. We have big plans for a larger forested enclosure, but that will be a project for our next visit. Fall in Washington was stunning, full of beautiful foliage, cool temperatures, and fewer than average rainy days. All the while, Gunnar continued to grow and mature, learning better and more consistent manners on and off leash, meeting new people and dogs, and overall discovering his place in the pack. Before any of us were ready, the rainy season had set in, and it was time to head back to sunny Arizona for the winter. Except instead of sun, we got to enjoy some lovely snow. It was Echo and Gunnar's first snow together, and they were thrilled. To me, there's just something about wolf dogs in the snow that is so majestic and beautiful. They truly are in their element. Sadly, the snow doesn't last long around here, and before we knew it, we were back to enjoying sunshine at the creek. I found a giant stuffed unicorn at Goodwill for $6.49. I stuffed her full of treats and let the wolf dogs go to town. With creatures as intelligent, curious, and playful as wolf dogs, I'm always looking for novel enrichment ideas. This was an absolute success, not to mention incredibly fun to watch. I'm convinced they were pretending to star in their own episode of National Geographic. A few other highlights of our time back in Arizona were visiting with family, buying a new vehicle that fits our entire pack, canine, feline, and human, watching the partial eclipse, and co-hosting Sedona's first ever wolf dog hike. This was honestly such a cool experience, with 11 canine participants from all over the area and more than 20 attendees in total. I'm hoping to host and or attend a lot more of these types of wolf dog events, both in Arizona and Washington, and I'd love to meet any of you there too. The very last thing that Gunnar did to finish off his first year with his new pack was reunite with my Alaska rescue partner, Mackenzie, exactly 1 year and 1 day after we completed the Alaska rescue together. I can't even express what it was like to see them together again under such vastly different circumstances, when they could both focus on simply being friends.
Gunnar, there's 2 people who saved your life, and you've got both of them here. What a
This big baby boy.
I've often found myself attempting to describe Gunnar to friends and acquaintances in the wolf dog community, and not being able to say enough good things about his temperament. Yes, he's rambunctious and hyper, but he's incredibly confident, both for his age and his genetics. He's very intelligent, and in those rare moments of focus, you can see how deeply he thinks and feels. He's very pack-oriented, and will calmly and happily go anywhere and do anything if his pack mates are there with him. He's more protective than I'm used to seeing in a wolf dog, which likely comes not from the wolf, but the 35% of his DNA that are hunting and protection dogs. And even though he's just barely on the cusp of adulthood now, I've seen so much growth in him over the last year. We couldn't be more in love with him. He truly has caused me to question everything I thought I knew about wolves and dogs. I see him as such a special gift on this earth, and I'm grateful that I get to be his mom. I hope you enjoyed catching up with his adventures over the last year? And if you did, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with other animal lovers. Thanks.